and gentlemen, this is your boy the Sneakerhead NY, and you are watching another episode of Nights at the Round Table TV. I just want to say thank you guys for paying attention and tuning in every week that you guys do. I do apologize for not dropping an episode last week, and also want to apologize for the horrible coverage in media that I had in the previous episode, in the very last episode, in the 5 reasons why the Yankees will win the World Series. I was not able to get to my proper camera, so therefore I just want to apologize for that and to you. But without further ado, this episode, once you click the link, you already know what it is. We're discussing the 5 greatest creations made by one Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Unless you've been living under a rock, we all know that he just retired from all of WWE. Taking over control is Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. So because of his retirement from WWE, we want to look at the 5 greatest creations made by Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Tune in. With Vince McMahon retiring from WWE television and from the WWE in itself, and Triple H and Stephanie McMahon now running the show, we take a look back at 5 of the greatest creations made by Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Number 5, Hulkamania. From the mid-80s to the early 1990s, Hulkamania was running wild, all thanks to Vince and his vision for one Terry Bollea, which is Hulk Hogan's real name. Vince saw the dollar signs that would come from Hulk Hogan, and he ran with it. Hulkamania became one of the biggest things in pro wrestling at that time. There was no bigger act in the world than Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania. Thanks to Hulkamania and Vince McMahon, he brought wrestling to its highest of heights at that time. Local wrestling shows were only about their territories. So when Vince McMahon decided to make Hulkamania and make it a big thing, the rest was history. Number 4, Monday Night Raw. January 11th, 1993 marked the beginning of a new era in wrestling. Monday Night Raw aired its first ever episode from the Manhattan Center in New York City. For almost 30 years and over 1,500 episodes, Vince started this as the need for more wrestling grew and the times were changing. Raw had so many great moments, from the Ministry of Darkness to Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels burying their issues. Monday Night Raw is the longest episodic show on television. Not to mention Mankind winning his first ever WWF title on Monday Night Raw. Number 3, the creation of Stone Cold Steve Austin, Undertaker, and The Rock. When you talk wrestling in the 90s, 3 of the biggest names would have to be Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, and The Rock. 3 of the most iconic names in wrestling history. Austin, who was arguably the greatest star in all of wrestling. Undertaker, the greatest character of all time. His gimmick is legendary. And The Rock, well, he's The Rock. There's nothing left to say about him. Those are the 3 biggest names in wrestling during the 90s and going forward. Vince McMahon helped create those 3 gimmicks. Now, Vince McMahon has some horrible gimmicks, but those are 3 of the greatest. Now, you could say that the fans helped make those gimmicks, or the wrestlers themselves put them over. But without Vince McMahon spearheading everything, those 3 names would not be synonymous with wrestling. Number 2, the Mr. McMahon character. Everyone knows about the Montreal Screwjob. But what transpired after that is what officially started the turn in the Monday Night Wars. When Vince uttered the words "Bret screwed Bret," the Mr. McMahon character was born. This may be the greatest character he ever created, and he saved it all for himself. Starting wars with Austin, The Rock, Mankind, and a slew of others, Mr. McMahon is responsible for many memorable moments. Kiss My Ass Club, peeing on himself in the middle of the ring, and getting hit with the bedpan. The list just goes on. Number 1, WrestleMania. This is the single greatest creation made by Vince. Now, of course, there are a few manias that wet the bed. Mania 9 comes to mind. But Vince had the vision to change the wrestling industry, and he did so. If not for Vince and WrestleMania, wrestling would not be where it is now. A lot of wrestling organizations can thank Vince McMahon for putting wrestling on the map. Wrestling, like I said before, was just about the territories. So with Vince McMahon dropping WrestleMania, making it accessible to everyone across the world, it then made wrestling a bigger thing. And as every year continued, he made more and more and more memorable WrestleManias. Now, it's safe to say that WrestleMania, once again, is the greatest creation of Vince McMahon in wrestling. He's had many other creations, but nothing is better than or as great as WrestleMania. And every single wrestling company and organization can thank Vince McMahon for bringing wrestling from out of the territories and onto the mainstream. We thank Vince McMahon for his almost 40 years behind wrestling's greatest company. This is Sneakerhead NY, and these are the 5 of the greatest creations made by Vince McMahon. Alright guys, thank you for watching this episode of Nights at the Round Table TV. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you can find out when we're dropping another episode. Also dropping today is another episode on Nights at the Round Table, the podcast. So make sure you guys check the link in the bio, tune into that episode. And once again, this is your boy, the Sneakerhead NY. We just discussed the 5 greatest creations made by Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And yeah, that was it. So guys, I like you guys, love you guys. See y'all next week. Peace.
This copyrighted broadcast of the Nights at the Round Table podcast was transmitted, produced, broadcast, and used in many forms without the express written consent of the song authors. We do not own any of these audio tracks, and we want to give full credit and say thank you to all the rightful owners. We do not condone piracy, and we encourage you to seek permission first before distributing our show. Simply put, we don't want to get sued. Thank you.